If you're watching this, the hardest part right now probably isn't even the decision. It's the not knowing. You don't know what happens next. You don't know how long this is going to take, and you don't know whether this is going to stay calm or turn into a court fight that drains your time, your money, and your peace. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a simple roadmap of the amicable divorce process in Florida. The phases, what you'll be responsible for, what typically slows things down, and how we keep things focused and steady. I'm Ana Augusto, a Florida divorce and family law attorney here in Miami. I've guided hundreds of families through this process, and I can tell you, the ones who understand the roadmap up front, they handle it better every time. Just know this is general information for Florida. It's not legal advice, and it's not a promise of a specific timeline for your case. Every situation is different, and timing depends on the facts and the level of cooperation. Here's what I've learned after years of doing this. Most people think that the stress of divorce comes from the legal steps, but that's not it. Most of the stress comes from uncertainty. When you don't have a map, your mind fills in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. You start imagining the worst version of everything. So my goal here is simple. Give you a clear, calm map of how this typically moves so you can breathe a little, feel more grounded, and walk into your strategy session with a real understanding of what's ahead. Now, let me be clear. An amicable divorce is still a legal process. We're not pretending it's not. What changes is the approach. The goal is to resolve things as uncontested as we realistically can, using structure and negotiations instead of escalation and warfare. And there are two things that impact both cost and timeline almost every time: complexity and cooperation. Complexity is about how many moving parts there are: assets, debts, kids, business interests, complicated income. Cooperation is about whether information can be exchanged and decisions can be negotiated without constant breakdowns. That's why an amicable process is designed to keep things calm and forward moving, but also realistic about what happens if cooperation stops. So phase one, this is about getting clear on what matters and what decisions actually need to be made. We identify your major categories: parenting and stability if you have kids, finances, property, and the timing of separation and transition. This phase is also where the amicable mindset matters most, because here's the thing: if you don't have priorities, every issue becomes the battlefield. But when you're aiming for fair and livable, not perfect, not payback, decisions become easier to move through. And here's what a lot of people don't realize: when you control the outcome through agreement, you can sometimes get better results than what a judge would order, because a judge has to follow what the law says. But in an agreement, you and your spouse can get creative. You can build something that actually works for your family. In your strategy session, we'll help you clarify what path fits best based on your facts and your goals. Phase two. I call this the clarity phase. Amicable does not mean guessing. It means making informed decisions with real information. This phase is about collecting the basics we need to understand the landscape: the income, major assets, major debts, and the general financial picture of the household. If you have kids, it also includes understanding their routines, the school, activities, and what stability looks like for them. If there's a prenup or a postnup or any prior written agreements or court orders, that matters too, because it changes what we're working with. Now, this phase tends to move faster when clients are responsive and consistent. The more we're chasing documents or clarifying missing information, the more time it adds. Not as punishment, but because it simply takes longer to build a clear picture when the information is incomplete. Phase three, proposals and negotiation. This is where the real work happens, turning priorities into workable decisions. We identify the issues that need agreement, we organize them, and we negotiate in a structured way. And this is where people either stay calm or they blow things up. In an amicable process, negotiation should be steady, clear, and goal-focused, not emotional point scoring. Not winning the conversation, not back and forth threats by text. Because every time the temperature rises, the process slows down and gets more expensive. Every time. Sometimes mediation becomes a helpful tool here. Not because the case is a disaster, but because it provides a structured container for productive conversation. The goal is still the same: a workable agreement that you can live with and move forward from. And if cooperation breaks down, we don't pretend it didn't. We talk through the options for what to do next based on your situation. Phase 4, drafting the agreement. Once the decisions are made, they have to be put into clear, written terms because clarity now prevents conflict later, especially with parenting schedules, financial responsibilities, and how transitions are handled. This phase matters because vague agreements lead to future fights. So the goal is to make sure the agreement is understandable, realistic, and detailed enough that it actually works in real life, not just on paper. And let me tell you something important here. The agreements need to be done well from the beginning because modifications, they're difficult. They require a high-level standard to even be possible. So we don't cut corners on this part. We get it right the first time. Phase 5. Finalization. After the agreement is complete, there are legal steps to finalize the divorce and have it signed off by the judge. I'm not going to give you a step-by-step instructions here because that depends on the facts of the case. But the important thing to know is this: once decisions are made and properly documented, the process becomes much more straightforward than when everything is still contested. Timing still varies and scheduling can be a factor, but an agreement changes the whole experience. The biggest delays in divorce almost always come from unresolved conflict, missing information, or stalled communication, not from the paperwork itself, what you control and what you don't. Here's the empowering part. There are things you can control that makes this smoother. You can control how quickly you provide documents. You can control how responsive you are. You can control whether you keep communications calm and focused. You can control whether you come into the process with priorities instead of trying to win every point. You can control whether you show up prepared and ready to make decisions. What you can't control is the other person's level of cooperation. You can't control whether they change their mind. You can't control how long they take to respond. And you can't control every scheduling variable. That's why our approach is to keep you out of limbo by giving you clear next steps and a realistic plan based on your situation as it exists, not as we wish it was. Let me name a few things that commonly slow down an otherwise amicable divorce. Missing or delayed documents, changing positions constantly, trying to negotiate while emotions are running the conversation, parenting conflicts bleeding into money conflicts, outside voices inflaming the situation, and unrealistic expectations, especially the expectation that it will feel perfect at every step. The antidote is simple. Stay priority-driven, stay calm, and stay focused on fair and livable. A steady process requires timely updates from your legal team. That doesn't mean constant contact every hour. It means clarity around what's happening, what's next, and what we're waiting on and what we need from you. We will be reaching out at least once a week, and in certain crunch times, it may be daily. Our job is to keep things moving forward and keep you informed, so you're not stuck wondering, did anything happen this week? Or hearing it first from your soon-to-be ex. In your strategy session, we'll take your specific situation and place it on this roadmap. We'll clarify what path fits best, what the likely bottlenecks are, and what a predictable next step looks like for you. Before we meet, complete the short prep packet and the calm prep sheet. The more clarity you bring into the situation, the more useful and focused it will be. And one last reminder, this is general information for Florida, not legal advice. But if what you want is a predictable path without unnecessary drama, this roadmap is exactly where we start.